How's it going, you guys? Mike's working. Good. Today's gonna be a little bit shorter of a call, or live coaching call. We do about a half an hour. I got to run some practices in an hour, so I want to make sure I'm good for that. But I'm here to answer all your guys' wrestling questions. If you guys want to throw them in the chat, I'll first be answering some of the questions from inside the online academy, and then answer all the questions you guys have. All right. So let me see what we got. I have one of my online members asking about injury. How do you learn to trust an injury? I don't know if any of you guys ever gotten injured before. Maybe you hurt your shoulder, hurt your knee, broke a bone, and you're rehabbing, but you are afraid to use that. I mean, one of the things that I did was I tried to strengthen that area so much that I started gaining confidence. For example, I tore both my meniscus in my knee. So I had surgery on both my knees. And what I did was I did a lot of like leg extensions, hamstring curls, squats, full range of motion, so that I got a lot of muscle around that area so that I just had more confidence that it wasn't going to get injured again. So if you guys are dealing with injuries and you're recovering, you need to strengthen those areas, put a lot of muscle. Like if I tore my shoulder, I'm going to be, doing a lot of shoulder rehab, and I'm not going to stop once it feels better. I think a lot of people, when they get injured and it starts feeling better, they stop the rehab just because it's a lot of work to do that extra rehab. So they feel like, my shoulder's all right, I'm not going to do the rehab anymore. And then it starts getting weaker and then it gets re-injured. So my recommendation with injury, strengthen that area, make it the strongest part of your body, and don't stop strengthening it till the end of your career. Jay got hit by a car in 2015. What injuries did you get? Nart's asking, if you were competing in a beginner level tournament, what would your strategy be? Well, how good are you, Nart? So are you much better than everybody else, or is it your first tournament and you're not doing, like, you're a beginner as well? Because if I was a beginner and it was my first tournament, I would definitely be very focused on a few set of moves. I'd go out there, hit the couple moves I was trying. I would play a little more defensive on the bottom position. I wouldn't worry about getting good at top going into my first tournament. I would just get as good as possible at my defense, at my couple shots, and at bottom. And if you can get good at those, you'll be able to win a lot of matches. I think it's hard. It's kind of hard to get really good at top in a short period of time. I think it's easier also to get good at defense than offense. So if you don't have a lot of time, getting good at defense, it's faster to get good at defense than offense. So you can make a match very, very close against somebody that's a lot better than you if you focus on your defense. What's your question about K-5 kids coaching? All right. You guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm going to look through the online academy. If you guys haven't joined that yet, I'll actually throw that in the chat for you guys, so people can join it if they haven't already. All right, so R. Nahart is asking, he's a K-5 kids coach, and he's asking about pointers for an experienced wrestler. So when I'm running my youth program, I have kids that start out day one, don't know what they're doing, but I also have kids that have been doing private lessons for years, and they're very, very good in comparison, at least. During the class, I still just focus on the fundamentals. I still focus on, especially at that young age, like, they don't necessarily need to know too many fancy moves or anything like that. They need to get good at their singles, good at their doubles, good at their high crotches, good at their sprawls, just like somebody on day one needs to. But the difference is a more advanced kid needs to know all the correct details with those moves. Single leg, double leg, high crotch, sprawls, all these fundamentals, those are the same moves that work in the Olympic finals, that are going to work in college. But at what level does that kid know it? So as I'm coaching a class and I have a kid who first day wrestling, for him, he just has to learn the concept of a sprawl. Bend over, push the head down, throw your feet back, and spin behind. Somebody that's been wrestling for 3 years has to know how to shift their weight the right way, how to stuff the head and push on the knees, what to do if they try to crack you down. So a more advanced wrestler needs to just know more about that position when his opponent's giving him reactions. So the moves necessarily don't change between an advanced and a non-advanced. They do a little bit. I'll add some new moves in, but a lot of times it's more details. And I do a lot of open drilling, which allows my wrestlers to, like, for example, I do a lot of takedowns to escapes. So it allows each wrestler to work on the areas they're struggling in or the moves they want to work on. And I can go to each group. I can go to the more advanced group and give them, more detailed instructions. I can go to the beginner group and give them some more just general instructions to help them understand what wrestling's all about. All right. So, Mr. I don't know some of these names, but do you have any tips for bottom? The bottom position, tripod stand-up, best way to get out. What I would really focus on is resisting on bottom. So if you want to get good at bottom, a lot of people think of it as an offensive position, and a lot of coaches say that. I don't really think of it that way. I think of it more as a defensive position. Do not get pinned. If you're on bottom, you cannot get pinned. That is the main priority. You can't go to your back. You can't give up your wrist. You can't get cross-faced. You have to be able to resist everything. So I focus a lot on having my top opponent try to break me flat, try to turn me, try to cross-face me, and I'm just shifting my weight in a way that doesn't allow me to get my wrist caught, to get broken flat. I don't focus on grabbing wrists on bottom. A lot of coaches teach, get wrist control. All the coaches are yelling, get wrist control, get wrist control. And you're on bottom and you start attacking the wrists, whether it's around your stomach or around your neck. And then the top opponent just reaches underneath and re-grabs your wrist, right? So I really think it's a poor way to get out. Instead, you want to do what's called sealing off. So when you're on bottom, as you start escaping, you want to get into like a T-Rex position, and you want to stay bent over in your stance so that you can block them from locking their hands together and get the escape. So I do more sealing off on bottom rather than attacking these hands and hand fighting. I will attack the wrist once I kind of transition from the tripod position to my feet. That's kind of when I'll attack the hands. But tripod stand up, if you're trying to get good at bottom, tripod or inside leg stand up. Sit outs are great too, but I think if you focus on that, you'll get really good. And then sealing off, not attacking the hands too early, resisting everything. If your partner goes arm bar, can you resist the arm bar? Can you resist a head lever? Can you resist a crossface? So do you know how to deal with all these different positions? That's my focus on bottom. It's not on learning like 70 different moves on bottom. You don't need to know switch, Granby, sit out, Peterson, hip heist. You don't need to know all those things. It's better to focus on staying in good position on bottom, keeping your butt low to your heels, resisting chops, resisting spiral rides, defending legs. That's where I put my focus, not on learning like 10 different ways to escape. 10 different ways to escape is not very useful compared to like just staying in good position and mastering a tripod stand-up. All right. That dude saying, thank you for what you do. I don't wrestle, but I've been teaching my kids your underhook system. Hey, you're welcome. I appreciate that. And I got some other great videos coming out. So stay subscribed, right? Be on the lookout. I was going to do a video on the spladle. I don't know if you guys want to see the spladle, but a lot of people at least want to show this. I at least want to show how to defend a spladle because I don't want you guys or your kids getting caught out in a match, getting embarrassed, hit with a spladle, okay? All right. Let me see what else we got. McFarland is saying, do you have any strategy for facing bigger, stronger opponents? It's not any different than any other opponent necessarily, but if I'm wrestling somebody stronger than me, I am going to be more disciplined with not making a mistake. I feel like a mistake against a stronger opponent can cost you more. So I'm going to be a little bit more selective on my shots. Like, I'm not going to shoot unless it's really there. You know, I'm going to bail out easily if I feel in danger. I'm not going to ever get extended. Like, if I'm on bottom, I'm not touching my stomach. I'm not going to my stomach. Or if I shoot on a leg, I'm not getting my arms extended out. Another thing that you can do with a stronger guy is if he's beating you in the hand fight, because normally a stronger person has better hand fighting, you can kind of wrestle from the open, but then you have to have techniques from the open. So that's kind of on you. But normally, if I was coaching a stronger, shorter wrestler, I would teach him to close the gap and work on hand fighting to, underhooks and attacking the legs at a closer distance. A longer, maybe weaker necessarily wrestler would be able to use his length to get to the legs without having to be as close on the hand fighting positions. All right. That dude's asking, what can I do to help my kids give full effort even when they think they'll lose and even when their partner is new? Given a full effort. I think over time it kind of the kids will get used to it, used to being able to pick up effort. Because what I think with effort is it's a scale, right? It's not like 100% versus 0. Like, they will continue to give more effort, more aggression, more intensity as they get older. It's not like it's less of like a switch, like on and off. So anytime you see them be more aggressive or you see them wrestle the way you want them to wrestle, just remind them of that. Let them know, like, that's the way I like to see you wrestle, right? And if you feel like they didn't wrestle the right way, remind them of that. Some other things, I mean, it depends. Are you coaching the practices? Are you in charge of running the practices? If not, the best you can do as a parent is just that encouragement when you see them do the right things. So, I always tell kids, go as hard as you can. It's not about hurting the kid. It's about scoring as many points as you can. It's about winning the wrestling match, right? Like, you're playing the sport to win the match. And part of that is giving your full effort, right? Giving your full effort, trying to score points. Some of the kids think, especially if you're new to wrestling, they're afraid to like hurt their practice partners, but it's not about that. Like, you got to help train them to think, that way. All right. Stellar Steven, should you level change lower first? Level change before hand fighting, I mean. Before you make contact, I like touching the mat first or making sure I'm lower than my opponent. Not at least at his level, but I'd be a little bit lower just so that when you make contact, he doesn't shoot on you. One of the most common times people are going to shoot on you is when you go to make contact with them. When you go to reach at them, they're going to shoot. So make sure you're disciplined before you start the hand fight. Before you make contact, you get a little lower, you reach with your back hand, and then you start hand fighting to your tie-up. Nart's asking, my coach told me that smaller wrestlers are at a disadvantage doing Greco against taller opponents. How would you approach freestyle wrestling against taller opponents? When I'm wrestling taller opponents, one of the things I try to do is get to both legs quickly. I think if you get stuck on one leg, especially low, like on a low single with a tall wrestler, it's very hard to collect the second leg. Because they're so tall and they're so long, they can stick their other leg really far away. So I'm hitting techniques where I can double off very quickly. I'm going to go like low single, double off. I'm going to go high crotch to their hips and switch to double. I'm going to go straight double leg if I can. Double legs are really great. I think like I said, low singles great if you finish double quickly, but if you don't finish quickly, you're going to be in a scramble and it's tough to finish against taller guys. I'm gonna close the gap on them, get close into the hand fight, right? Dig into these hand fighting, because if I'm super far away, well, he can get to my legs because his arms are long enough, but I won't be able to get to his. Those are some of the things that I would focus on against a taller opponent. Really trying to get to some sort of double leg, doubling off. All right. Devi Herard saying, I'm fairly inexperienced wrestler. Although I got enough moves, I keep finding myself with a higher stance when fighting against taller guys, and it's affecting my shots. How can I fix this? I think the biggest thing, I don't know specifically with you, but the biggest thing I see people do is when they're drilling their takedowns with their practice partners, they don't practice making contact with their partner the right way. So they don't, when you're practicing with your practice partner and you're doing takedowns back and forth, the rep of the takedown needs to start from space. So every time you do your takedown, you start from space. You make contact the right way by lowering your level. I like touching the mat and then thumb blocking with my backhand every single time. You got to be disciplined with that. You've got to hit all steps of a takedown. And the first step is getting a good stance and make contact the right way. So if you don't drill it every single rep, you're going to definitely make the mistake in a match. And you're going to reach with two hands, stand up, and they're going to take you down. So be disciplined with your stance. Drill it every time, every rep, good stance, make contact with your backhand, makes like every single time. You break contact with a person, your hands drop down, you get back into a low stance. In space, when you're not tied up with your opponent, you need to be very disciplined in your stance. You need to be very, very cautious. Be ready for the shots, be ready for the fakes, be ready to down block. Jay's asking, any tips for practicing if you have no dummy nor opponent? I think stance and motion is probably the biggest benefit you're going to get from solo drilling. It's the best solo drill I could think of. To have a piece of mat, maybe even a rug or something. Maybe you might get rug burn shooting on a rug, but doing stance and motion for a long time, every day. Like if you did a half an hour stance and motion each day, you would get very good at movement, at shots, at staying in a good stance. I mean, that's a lot of stance and motion. I think you'd be pretty tired too. Better cardio than going on a run, I think. So I think stance and motion is the best. Obviously, strength training, stretching, those types of things are also really good to get you to hit your goals. All right. Hopefully this stuff's helping you guys out. Getting some information for you guys. Again, this call is only going to be another like 13 minutes because I got a coach. So we're shortening it a little bit more. And I had to shift it back a little earlier because of the coaching this week. But next week we'll be back to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See what questions we've got. Like I said, if you guys haven't joined the online academy, I'll throw the link in the chat one more time. Make sure you hop on that. We have match review in there. We have all of our 50 or so instructionals in there. So if you're looking to get better wrestling, it's 100% free. Hop in there. We got a place where people sell and buy shoes, right? Whatever anything wrestling related. All right. Let's see what we got. Another question about practice partners. What if you don't have enough practice partners? Like you only have one practice partner. I think practice partners is important. I don't think it's the most important thing. Like, I think people put practice partners a little bit higher than what I think it really is. I think you can figure it out without having the best practice partner. You can get as good as you want. So, but I think like if you want to get good, what I would recommend you do is make your practice partner a better practice partner. So part of you getting better is getting your practice partners better so that they can continue to push you and so that you can drill the right way and your partner can give you a look when you're drilling. Now, if I didn't have a lot of practice, or if I was way better than everybody else in my room and I needed to, get a better feel so I was prepared for a tougher opponent, I would do stuff like shark bait where I stayed in the middle and people just rotate on me every couple minutes until I get tired enough where those kids start being a challenge for me. That's a great way to do live wrestling when you're a lot better than everybody else. It's a way to push yourself. I mean, you might be a lot better than everybody else, but after a half an hour of people rotating in on you, they might start feeling a lot better, right? They might start getting a lot more difficult to get those takedowns. So that's kind of my recommendation for that side of things. What's your mentality before a match? My mentality before a match, I think about the present. I don't think about my opponent. I don't think about his accolades. I don't think about really what moves he's going to do. I don't think about the crowd or my parents being there watching me. I think about the actions I'm going to take in the first 30 minutes. I think about getting a good, for me personally, good stance, hand fight to my tie-ups, get to my underhooks, move them and shoot, stay in a good stance. And I would just like almost do a little bit of stance of motion as I'm warming up, a few matches before I was up. I would just focus about what I'm going to do in the match, because what's actually going to help you perform is the actions you take in the match, like doing the actual moves. So you need to be thinking about the moves, and while you're in the match, you should be thinking about the moves you're hitting and the moves you're going to hit right at that moment. So you need to be in the present thinking about the techniques you're going to do. You don't want to be like in a match thinking about, oh man, I'm down 2-0 or I got to get this many more points to win. You need to be thinking about clear this wrist off, collar tie, post high crotch, try to crack down. It's not there. Switch to double. You need to be like really going through the steps. That's where your brain, that's all your mind should be focusing on. You're on bottom, resist. They got my wrist, roll my wrist free. Like you literally should be thinking about the actions you're taking, not about outside things you can't control. So that's my mindset, my mentality recommendation. Wrestlers that wrestle from one knee, you gotta work on shot defense and front headlocks. So if you notice, Jaden, go watch Division I wrestling. Very infrequently do people actually wrestle from one knee, right? Like you do not very often see the best wrestlers in the world wrestling from a knee. I think in freestyle it's actually kind of illegal to do that. They'll like force you to stand up. But what I would recommend is pulling front headlocks, like snapping them down in front of you and going for go behinds. Obviously not gonna be able to shoot on somebody that's on one knee, but you can pull them into a front headlock and score from that position. All right. Your video building a system, it says to pick neutral offense and pair 3 takedowns with it, but in the video didn't show. So my main recommendation when you guys are starting out and trying to figure out your wrestling system is I think you got to pick an attack to each leg, a front headlock, maybe having, an additional alternate takedown. But in general, like three or so takedowns that kind of work together. As you guys know, I have instructionals on like almost everything, right? Double, single, high crotch, low single, ankle pick, slide bys. I have all these videos up on YouTube for free. Don't get overwhelmed by all of them. Pick the 3 that you like, focus on them, work them in practice, put them together. You like a slide by, you like a single leg, okay. You go slide by, they face you, you hit a single. You like slide by ankle pick stuff, you can go slide by, they face, go ankle pick. You can combine some of these things together. So pick 3 neutral takedowns, start working them together and drilling them a lot, trying them in live and getting better at those positions. The best escapes for long, lanky guys getting out from bottom. I do think tripod stand-ups do get a little tougher for the taller guys if they're not strong enough. Sit-outs aren't bad, but I'm still going to probably go to the tripod stand-up at the end of the day. If you guys go and watch the Division I National Championships from the past couple of years, just go type in like 2024 Division I National Championships, and it has all the matches. Just watch what they do on bottom. You want to know like what to do on bottom. You guys, if you don't trust me or whatever, go and just watch, spend a little bit, skip through the video and just go watch what they do on bottom. If you don't get convinced of an inside leg stand-up and a tripod stand-up, you will, then I don't know what else to say, right? Like it's just what every good wrestler does. Maybe once in a while a wrestler hits like a Granby roll or a sit out, but it's like the overwhelming amount of people don't do that. So Nahart, that's how you say your last name. Go check out Division One, any wrestling, Division One, high level wrestling on bottom. Just go watch what they do. All right. You can, and then as far as I guess extra chills, answering your question. Like I said, pick 3 or so of your best takedowns. Focus on those. I got videos on anything you could think of: foot sweeps, slide bys, ankle picks, low singles. Just go type in Iron Faith and then whatever you want to look at. And then you can always explore more after that. But you guys need to start focusing on something. Get good at something. Don't just be jumping from move to move every single week and never master anything, right? Find stuff you enjoy, try some stuff out, but really get good at something. Get really good at something, right? A couple moves. Jordan Burroughs hits his double leg. David Taylor likes ankle picks. You know, Austin DeSanto, inside tie fireman's carries. So if you guys want to get good, that's what I recommend for you guys. Excited to see you guys crush it these last couple weeks. I know you guys, a lot of you guys probably have your state championships. If not, you already had it. Excited to see you guys do well. And yeah, unless anybody else has any other questions, that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST. All right. See you guys.